Hey everyone, today I want to talk just a bit about the lock-in rates with Virgin Voyages. These can be very, very tempting, and in some cases I do recommend them, but in a lot of cases I don't. And I'm going to bring up a couple of examples today. This is a cruise that is looking at the Sea Terrace. So you have the extra large Sea Terrace at 2642, the Sea Terrace starting at 2120 for the limited view, up to 2320 for a Sea Terrace, or the Central, just a little bit more. And then you have a lock-in rate at 1832. You have to understand this lock-in rate really restricts you going forward. One, you don't pick your cabin. The cabin is going to be picked closer to sailing. And once that cabin is picked, you can't change that cabin. So that could be located, anywhere within the Sea Terrace category in theory, but you don't want to necessarily take a risk or a chance on that. And there's a lot of terms and conditions there when you look at the lock it in rates that are very, very important on that. You're not able to accept any changes or make any changes. Your ability to change cruise dates are affected. You won't get a future cruise credit if you do. As I mentioned, you might not know your cabin number until your sail date. And it could be, you know there's a lot of things that can happen with it. Where I typically recommend it being acceptable to consider a lock-in rate is if this number here to 1832, for example, is at least $1,000 less than any of these numbers here. So for example, in this case, the limited view Sea Terrace at 2120, if you were to book that one, you could at least have a first mate help you choose a cabin. But if you go down here, 2120, this number needs to be 1120 or less, in my opinion. Others might say, you can go 750, 500, whatever that value is. But there's a lot of risk in there. And I'm not a big fan of these locked-in rates on the Sea Terrace level because of the fact that you just don't know what's going to happen and you have such little flexibility there. So again, always start here where you can, unless you're saving around $1,000 or more dollars. And then that value savings becomes worth it. You have to look at it. What is it worth to you to not have any flexibility? And I would say that most sailors I work with are okay in that $1,000 range. On the other side of things, you look at Rockstar Rates. And this doesn't happen a lot. And in fact, recently I came across a mega Rockstar lock-in rate that I jumped on right away. And I would do the same with a Rockstar cabin as well, regardless of the price. If you're looking at sailing Rockstar and it's for the benefits, all the cabins are going to be fine, relatively fine. There's obviously differences in the different Rockstar cabins between the suite, aft suite, all the way to the Brilliant suite and everything in between. There's going to be differences there. However, booking the lock-in rate, in this case 5584, you're going to save at least a couple $100. And then you kind of play the lottery. And again, this is like with a Sea Terrace. You're very likely going to see yourself put into a limited view Sea Terrace, although I've seen people get moved into other ones as well with the lock-in rate. You're more than likely going to get into a seriously suite at that price, so 5760 versus 5584. But if you're saving, and even in this case, I might want to save a little bit more than just this. But if you're all in on Rockstar and you're going on a cruise and you get insurance, which you should do in this case or in any case really, then I think you're going to be okay. But there's that chance you could get into a different Rockstar suite, and that's all supply and demand. It all depends on who is booking what and what's available, what's not available, et cetera, of course. So look at it like that. The biggest thing you can do though is always understand the terms and conditions. Lock-in rates are just so risky. I hardly ever recommend them. But if someone is adamant about it, I just always say, hey, read these terms and conditions, almost recite them back to me, if you will, and we'll make something happen. So if you're interested in learning more about this and other things with Virgin Voyages, I encourage you to visit our website at CamJonTravel.com. We focus exclusively on Virgin Voyages, no other cruise line. We do refer out if someone comes to us and we don't feel that they might be a fit for Virgin Voyages, or if children are traveling. We do have, for example, a Disney specialist that we work with, and they work with us if they have someone that's traveling without children and they might want to try something new. So we have a great partnership there. On the website, you can learn more about our services, travel reward program, an open letter that I talk about kind of the shadiness of agents, and not just in the Virgin Voyages space, but in travel in general, and learn much more about everything that we have going on. So thank you and have a great day.